Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee with Colleen. My name is Colleen Hammond. I am a former on-camera meteorologist for the Weather Channel turned executive image consultant, coach, and personal image stylist. Basically, that means that, people judge us in the blink of an eye. So I teach you how to dress your best so that you look and feel like $1,000,000. So dressing for your color and your body type, what looks good on you, what doesn't look good on you, what patterns, what prints, what colors, how to do your hair, all that good stuff. So today we're going to be talking about 7 strategies of how to get things done. And they're just different types of strategies. So this is not time management. We're not talking about habits, goal setting. We'll kind of touch on goal setting because I have a new exciting idea for you. So anybody in the mood to get more done. Also, today, the day that we are recording this, today is National Cheese Ball Day. It's also the Boston Marathon Day, but National Cheese Ball Day. Now, who knew that a cheese ball first appeared in 1801? Alicia Brown pressed the first cheese ball and presented it to President Thomas Jefferson. It weighed over 1,200 pounds. That's a big cheese ball. Also is Boston Marathon Day, which I don't run. If you see me running, call the cops because I'm being chased. So anyway, the world's oldest marathon. So let me see. There we go. The race takes place in the third Monday of April, known as Patriots Day in Massachusetts and Maine. In 1975, Boston was the first major marathon to have a wheelchair division. Praise God. And in 2007, initiated a wave start. So, of course, and then there was a tragedy at the Boston Marathon a few years back. But, yeah, so those are the days today. And question of the day, do you like cheese balls? I love cheese balls, and I have an amazing homemade cheese ball recipe that I like. And I cover mine in bacon instead of nuts. So there you go. So anyway, let me see. Oh, Rick, we need to pray for Rick all the way. Maine student canceled today because he's sick. Lol. Online courses for next year. Good morning, Judy. Happy Easter, everyone. And Patty, we already know, was finishing her taxes and preparing freezer meals for a friend whose mother was just diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. And of course, in November, I was cancer-free, so I dealt with my own round of breast cancer last year. So let's talk about 7 strategies. Cheesy good morning, says Mike. Let's talk about 7 strategies to get more done. First and foremost, so many of us are afraid to make a mistake. So that would be number 1. Stop worrying about making a mistake, right? Try something new. Do the unexpected. Think outside of the box. No matter what you do for a living or what business you're in or whatever, we have kind of expectations set for us and rules of engagement, and every situation calls for, but don't be afraid to try something new, to think outside the box, to reframe something in your brain in a different way. The second strategy is to remember you're not way behind. All right. Honest engine, who feels like they're way behind? If you feel like you're way behind, put me in the comments. I always feel like I'm behind. There's a book that somebody gave me, and I'm going to interview her because it was a great book. It was called It's 6:30 a.m. and I'm already behind. You're not behind. You are where you are, right? So accept that you are where you are, and let's move forward from here. It doesn't do any good to, now some people are very motivated. We'll talk about this in a second. Some people are very motivated by saying, yeah, I'm way behind. Look at all the me's: Joanne, Shirley, Sarah, Laura, Lori, Linda, Tammy, me. We kind of have that, and it could be temperament driven. It could be part of your temperament where you just kind of feel like you're constantly rushing, you're constantly behind. It could be a lack of organization where you feel that because you're not organized, you're already behind. It could be outside pressure from other people that want things from you. It may be overcommitment. You have to learn to say no and engage in a little bit more self-care. There's so many reasons where we can feel like, oh my gosh, I'm way behind. So stop that thinking, the stinking thinking. Stop that thinking right now. And the other thing is you might be comparing yourself to other people. Well, other people are ahead of me. And, I fell into that trap. I was talking to my coach one day and I'm like, yeah, but Shalene Johnson. And he went, whoa, 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 whoa. How long have you been doing this? A couple of months. How long has Shalene been in business? I don't know, a couple of decades. So, don't be comparing yourself to Shalene. I love Shalene. So compare yourself only to the person in the mirror. Where was that person a week ago, a month ago, a year ago? That's truly the only comparison they ought to be making. So strategies or straight cheese, as Chris. A reality check. Think about one thing at a time. That's so good. That's so true, Judy. You always have such great input. I just love our family. You have such wisdom here in the family. And oftentimes too, because we feel behind, because we are thinking about a gazillion things. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Fine, make a list. I love lists. Make a list and give yourself something to cross off that list. So compare yourself to yourself. Where were you a year ago? Where were you a week ago? Where were you a month ago? Have you progressed? Yes or no? What were your obstacles? Really kind of break it down. And stop thinking you're way behind. Because some people that can smother and stifle and shut them down. And some people it motivates. About 5% of people. And that's the other thing about motivation. Remember, the least effective long-term motivation is fear. Now, you can use fear to get you going, but it's the least effective long-term solution. So people are motivated by love. People are motivated by, accomplishment, words of affirmation, other things, but the least long-term effective strategy is fear. Number 3, do more with what you have. And remember that you have what you have, so use it. It's not new equipment that's going to make you better. Now, I've heard this from people who golf. I have golfed in the past. My father-in-law, God rest his soul, was a scratch golfer. And my husband's whole family golfs, and they do this big thing on Labor Day and all that kind of stuff. So the very first time I golfed, I shot an 82, which is amazing. But stroke by stroke, my father-in-law was taking me through the entire course. And he was so excited. He's like, you have a natural swing, you this, you that. I can't wait. I was like so excited that a new member of the family, and I just married into the family, and I was going to participate in their golf outings. And I hated it because I'm a perfectionist. It wasn't relaxing for me at all. But anyway, if you talk to golfers, they'll say somebody shows up on the golf course with a brand new set of golf clubs like it's going to make them better. The equipment doesn't make you better. Do more with what you have instead of looking for a new app or a new piece of equipment. A typewriter is just as effective as a Word document to write a new book. Takes a little bit more pressure with the fingers, right? But Michael Jordan plays basketball with the same basketball my husband does. If my husband went out and got a Michael Jordan basketball, he's not going to be a better basketball player. If Tiger Woods has a certain set of golf clubs and somebody gets those set of golf clubs, it's not going to make him a better golfer. Bobby Fischer is a chess player. He doesn't have a special chessboard that makes him a better chess player. Hank Aaron batted with a wood bat and was an amazing, getting Hank Aaron's bat is not going to make you a better batter in the batter's box. So do more with what you have. Good morning, Janet. Your equipment is not what makes you good. You are what makes you good. So do more with your stuff. Don't wait for the right equipment. Don't wait for the right time. The timing has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect and in place before I start. Just start. When you go grocery shopping, do you kind of time things and wait and say, okay, if I leave in 15 minutes, all the lights will be green? All the lights are never going to be green. You're going to get stuck at a red light somewhere along the line. Leave the house. It's the same thing when you're working on things. Start. Just start. Get going. What are you putting off for? It's just what's between your ears. Do more with what you have. Thank you, Joanne. Yeah, what a real obstacle is not imagined. And that's the other thing. Making a list, said Sarah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, realize that those perceived limitations, or like Joanne was saying, that real obstacles were not imagined obstacles, but they could be imagined obstacles that you use for your benefit. So say it's an imagined obstacle or perceived limitation. What do you think is stopping you? Stop and look and think. What do you think is preventing you from taking that next step forward? What's preventing you from starting an exercise program? What's preventing you from eating healthy? What's preventing you from stopping smoking? What's preventing you from starting a new business? What's preventing you from calling a friend that you haven't spoken to in a long time and you feel kind of weird because I haven't talked to him in a long time and I feel weird if I just pick up the phone and call him? Just pick up the phone and call. If it's something you're going to do eventually anyway, get started. And those perceived limitations or imaginary obstacles you can actually use as a reason to propel you forward. So what do I mean by that? Okay, well, I need better time management. I don't have enough time. I have all these children. I have this, I have that. Okay, this is a great opportunity for me to learn better time management so I can get this started. Because if I start, I know I'm going to have to manage my time better. So it's a perceived limitation that you use as a reason to get yourself started. I need better time management skills anyway, so I'm going to start because it'll force me to be more. And that's an old saying. If you want a job done well and quickly, give it to a busy person. Because busy people will find a way to fit it into their schedule and get her done. So, and you end up working at your best under pressure. So even if it's a real limitation or an imagined limitation, a real obstacle or an imagined obstacle, you can use that for your benefit to put yourself under that kind of limitation that helps you get it done faster, higher, quicker. What happens, you always hear these stories about a car falls on a child and the mom comes up and picks the car up and throws it off to the side to save the child. She gets that burst of adrenaline. She's required to do her best in the moment, right? And it happens. And what it becomes is that, you are not going to stop me. And if you reframe these limitations or obstacles into, I ain't going to stop me. I will make it over, around, under, or through. I'm going to do it. Because when it's a matter of life or death, you're going to do it. You're going to do whatever it takes. So if it's something that you want to do, it's something you've been considering doing, something that, you go through all the things it's not going to take away from your children, your family, your husband, your spouse, your wife, and it's something you plan on doing it anyway. Look at whatever you perceive that's stopping you and make that into the reason that you're going to do it anyway. So shifting and reframing that in your head. And the number 5 is kind of tied into that, is knowing your why. When you lose your why, you're going to lose your way. Simon Sinek has a great video that he talks about, getting down to your why. Why do you want to do it? Why do you do the things that you do? How much do you want it? And what are you willing to risk? And on your deathbed, will you regret not doing it? So a deathbed conversation is always a good one to have. On my deathbed, will I regret not having done this? Number 6, experiments are fun. So instead of setting a goal, in 6 months, I want to have lost 50 pounds and I'm going to do it because of this, 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 and this, and this. And that's my goal. Shift it around in your head and say, I'm going to try an experiment for the next 6 months. I'm going to exercise and eat this way and do this. I'm just going to see what happens. Or 3 months, or 1 month, or a week. Right, Mike, Mukesh, is the main thing is how do you motivate yourself? What's your inner motivation? What's your why? Why are you doing this? Morning, Sherry. I'm not motivated, just start. The motivation comes. And that's a lot to do with it because people, it goes back to the waiting till all the lights are green before I leave the house. I have to wait until I'm motivated. It doesn't work that way. It's the other way around. Once you get started, then once the ball is rolling, then you're more and more and more motivated. So reframe things as an experiment, not as a goal. And then put all your energy into this experiment. I am just going to try waking up 15 minutes earlier for the next week just to see what happens. I'm going to try leaving my electronic device in another room and not bringing it into the bedroom just for tonight. See how I sleep. I've never gone to sleep without checking my email in bed. But just for tonight, I'm going to try an experiment and see how it goes. So it can be a short-term experiment, a long-term experiment. But by reframing, do you see how reframing it as an experiment? It's like, I'm not committed to this forever. If it doesn't work out, I'll just change. I'll do something else. So hopefully that helps. I get motivated playing the Vills, no kidding. Out playing with the babies and shoveling stuff and listening. Thanks, Sherry. So why play small? What's the worst that could happen? If you try something for a short period of time and it's not working out, you can always go back to what you were doing before, but you know that what you're doing now isn't working, which is why you want to try something new, or why you want to set a goal, or why so you know your why. And then you say, I'm going to try an experiment. Isn't that a fun way to reframe it in your head? And it also doesn't make you feel like it's this overwhelming commitment. You can always change. And number 7, whatever happened to daydreaming? We are so addicted, truly addicted to input. We constantly, good morning, Brandon. Haven't seen you in a while, except for on your vacation. I loved your pictures, by the way. We're so addicted to input. And this is the study that I just posted on my personal page, and I'll include the link to it here in the show notes. Most men, and a large portion of women, not as many women, would rather experience painful shocks than sit alone with their thoughts and daydream for 15 minutes. It was a Harvard research that was done just a couple of years ago. When we have time on our hands, what do we resort to? Electronic devices. Now, I didn't have this study until day before yesterday, and I'm adding more things into the emotional intelligence ebook, and the 4th ebook is going up this week. And I found this study because people, when they're alone with their thoughts, we talked about it the other day about showing up someplace early, arriving 15 minutes early, when we were talking about 20% of people are chronically late and the other 80% are impacted by it. What do you do with that early time? Most people whip out their phones and start playing phone games on their phone, or checking email or whatever. Whatever happened to daydreaming? Whatever happened to being alone with your thoughts? So we're so addicted to input that our brains are constantly jittering. So you can actually get more done when you take a few minutes out of every day to just sit still, do nothing, and daydream. And if anybody knows who Brendan Burchard is, I'm in his high performance group. And over the weekend, once a month, he has a live training, a couple hours, about an hour and a half long usually, that he does. And so I work with his high performance, and I'm also in his marketing program. And so Saturday afternoon, I'm pretty much with Brendan Burchard all day. But one of the things he was talking about is this very thing. So I was going to send him this study. But learning to sit still with your thoughts, meditate, make your mind blank, bring that peace in, bring that energy back, and being able to sit still, focus on nothing, prepares your mind for the day. So when you're feeling too hectic or you're running around all the time, when's the last time you went out and just looked at the clouds and imagined shapes in the clouds and did a little bit of daydreaming? So bring daydreams and time alone and private meditation back into your life, as opposed to constantly resorting to electronic devices to fill the gaps. And a lot of people will say, oh, but I'm reading off a reader, I'm reading a book, or but we don't constantly have to be going. We don't constantly have to be doing. And that's the trap a lot of my clients that I'm coaching and mentoring fall into. And I fall into it, just kind of have to catch myself too, that I have to be doing something productive. I have to be doing something. No, you don't. Maybe something productive is self-care. That's very productive. So doing that instead. All right, so a quick recap on 7 strategies to get more done. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Try new things, do the unexpected, think outside the box. Number 2, you're not way behind. Stop thinking that way, and stop comparing yourself to others. You only should be comparing yourself to the person in the mirror. And truly, look where you were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. I bet you've progressed. You're not behind. You may not be where you want to be, or you may not be where somebody else thinks you should be, or you may not be where your mentor, who's been doing this for 3 times as long as you have, maybe you're not where they are, but where are you now compared to where you were a week, a month, a year ago? So you're not way behind. Number 3, do more with what you have. The timing will never be perfect. You don't need new equipment. You don't need a new app. You just need to do it. You just need to start and do more with what you have right now, because probably what you have is enough. Truly is. Number 4, realize that your perceived limitations could be your best friend if you let them be it. Use it as a way to motivate yourself. Again, the example being a car that falls on a child, and the mom comes out and takes, and just takes it and uses it. I can't lift that car. Oh, yes, I can. Limitations help push you to a higher level. When it's a life or death situation, you'll do it. You'll make a way. You will find a way, over or under, around or through. So realize that these perceived limitations in your head could be your best friend. Know your why. Why do you want it? What are you willing to risk? On your deathbed, will regret not doing it. Number 6, make it an experiment. You know what? I'm just going to try this for a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, and just see what happens. And if I don't like it, I'll change it. So instead of making it a goal, reframe it in your head and make it an experiment. And number 7, meditate, be grateful, have a gratitude list, and focus on daydreaming. Go look at the clouds today. You're supposed to be getting outside, and that's one thing Brendan Burchard was talking about this weekend. 20 minutes outside walking. And I've talked about this before, and he talked about it again this weekend, about being outside walking is different than walking on a treadmill or an elliptical or anything like that. That part's exercise, but something different happens when you're outside in the fresh air looking at green things. For some reason, the green things make the world of difference. So hopefully those ideas help you and can propel you to the next step of trying some new things and using some different strategies to boost you off that one spot. Lori says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yep. Actually, Einstein was the first one that I found this. I know Zig Ziglar's credited with that, but Einstein was the first person I saw credited with that one. Good morning, Anne-Marie. I finally had a window to watch. Yay, I'm glad. Life's moving 1,000 miles per hour. Amen. Natasha said, being rather than doing is an art. Ask for that grace. Yeah, we've lost the art of just being. We really have. Yeah, I like the experiment idea, says Rick. Yeah, it's big for me. Creation, God's touch to inspire you. There you go. Thank you, Joanne. Natasha says, Martha versus Mary. Mary took the better part. Yeah. And we're kind of a combination of both. There's Martha moments and Mary moments. Brandon says, always retreat to nature when I feel wound up. Works for me too. Always works for me. Kathy says, did my walk today. Makes you appreciate the time we have. Yeah, it really does. Like I said, we just passed a year ago. April 9th, it was a year ago I had my heart attack. And I just kind of went back and looked at some things and went, whoa. And how I've fallen off of I used to do 10,000 steps a day. And now for some reason I'm down to like 3 or 4. I went, whoa. So I think I got 7,000 steps in Saturday, 5,000 steps yesterday. So I'm trying to ramp my steps per day back up. Just as an experiment, just to see what'll happen. So I'm glad that was helpful. A lot of people saying it was helpful. No show notes for today. Hopefully that y'all took good notes. Also an update on the writing class. I'm pulling together the information on that. What I want to do is have an option for you. Right now it looks like it's going to be a 4-week class. Well, we'll meet once a week and then you'll have an assignment, you'll do it. And then we can exchange, people can exchange. So I'm trying to keep plan on keeping the group pretty small. Then I am talking to a publisher If you want to go through somebody else, I'm going to try to line up somebody to do book covers, because that's always the question. Well, who do I get to do a book cover? So lining up some, instead of just going on Fiverr, see if I can line up a couple of people for book covers. If you want to go have somebody do all the layout for you, try to find somebody to do layouts. So I'm kind of pulling together a resources list on that. And I have a gal that I know that really focuses on authors and marketing, Carolyn. And I haven't reached out to her yet. Keep meaning to. I saw her at Brendan Burchard's thing this weekend. I was going to reach out to her, but and have that all lined up for people to just have those resources available to you. And once somebody tries, a person, then they can recommend it to other people, and just so that we can help each other, because everybody has a book inside of them. They really, really do. They really, really do. And being able to get that idea out, and it's not going to make you a millionaire. I'm one of the lucky people. I didn't realize until I went to an event called Author 101. And I watch around, and people are like, they have everyone there is an author, right? Or wants to be an author, but they sold 100 copies of their book. I sold 150,000 copies of mine. And I didn't realize how extraordinary that was. So 3,000 the first week. Most people sell about 100 copies of their book, and they're thrilled. And that's it. 98% of books printed never sold more than 200 copies. So it's not something that's going to make you a millionaire. There's no guarantee you're going to be Stephen King or anything like that. But what's the impact? If you made an impact on one soul by what you write, isn't that worth it? So I teach my clients to write a book because it gives you authority to have a byline, to be an author, and use it as a loss leader, or use it as a business card, so that people get to know a little bit about you. So anyway, Martha through and through, says Janet. I know. All righty. All right. So any other questions? Any other comments? Any other input? Oh, golly. Here we go again with Facebook not giving me comments here. If you think this information was beneficial, share now, because everybody always forgets and they lose track of time. And they, so if you think that other people would benefit by the information that was shared today, go ahead and share now. I made a live first time, Monica. Yay! So happy. Vicky said I had a message for many I like to inspire. There you go. Yeah. Wanted to make me a millionaire. Yeah, you don't need to. Don't need to. Vicky's book inside. Victoria, I need to see when you're doing the class. I haven't set a date yet. When's the move? But it's going to be recorded, and that's the thing, is that everything I do, all the classes that I do, are all recorded, so that if you're not able to make them live, you can always come back and watch the recordings online. This particular class, we're going to have a Facebook group, so that we can get together and talk and share ideas and look for editors. And sometimes you just exchange manuscripts and read each other's manuscripts. You'll find typos, you'll find, different things. And there should be no reason to find a typo, because everybody's Word doc has a spell check. So, June. No. We plan on doing the class in the next week or two. Always good stuff. Thank you, Lori. Lori shared. Thank you for sharing. Already shared, said Janet. Brandon writes, cool. The diary, Elizabeth LeSueur. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wasn't that beautiful? All right, prayer requests, and then we can get bebopping for the day. Oh! Oops. I think I just knocked myself offline. I was not